Howdy remarketing fans, and welcome back. For those of you not familiar with the Google AdWords remarketing tag, it's just another way to collect data about your website visitors, and instead of sending that information back to the Google Analytics web servers where it's processed and then displayed and then made available for you to dissect and analyze inside the Google Analytics dashboard, that information through the Google AdWords remarketing tag is sent back to Google AdWords, from which you could create audiences directly inside Google AdWords. Now, here's a very important thing to remember. If you're using Google Analytics to track user information, meaning you have the Google Analytics tag on all pages of your website, you do not need the Google AdWords remarketing tag on your website. It is not necessary. You're going to be able to import or export all your lists from Google Analytics into Google AdWords to use for your AdWords remarketing campaigns. So you don't have to have the Google AdWords remarketing tag just to repeat. However, I typically like to add the Google AdWords remarketing tag onto all our clients' websites because sometimes it's just quicker and more efficient to create some basic remarketing audiences right inside Google AdWords using the data collected from the Google AdWords remarketing tag. Once again, Google Tag Manager makes it really easy for you to add your Google AdWords remarketing tag to your website. Once again, this is going to be a global tag, which, as you know by now, means it's going to be on all pages. So it makes the trigger function much easier inside Google Tag Manager, unlike the previous lecture where we talked about Google AdWords conversion tracking, where we had to set up some nifty little triggers where we only wanted to fire that tag when a user actually completed a conversion. With the Google AdWords remarketing tag, it's going to be an all pages firing trigger. So the first step we need to do in order to get our Google AdWords remarketing tag is go into our Google AdWords account once again. Just as a reminder, if you already have your Google AdWords remarketing tag hard-coded onto your website and it's working, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to pull it out and put it in through Google Tag Manager. I just think using Google Tag Manager is an easier interface and it allows for more customizability and editing the tags on the fly. So go back to our campaigns from wherever you may be in your Google AdWords account, and we're going to go down below to Shared Library on the left-hand side. Under Shared Library, we're going to click on Audiences, and we're going to come back quite a bit to this Audiences area inside of AdWords because it's here that we're going to be actually creating remarketing lists inside AdWords. But for now, we're just concerned with the remarketing tag itself. So in this box in the upper right-hand side, we have information on the remarketing tag, and as you can see, Google has not detected the AdWords tag on our website because we haven't installed it. So we're going to click on Tag Details. We're going to click on Setup in the upper right-hand corner. We're going to click on View AdWords Tag for Websites. And here we have our Google AdWords remarketing tag. This looks quite similar to our Google AdWords conversion tag, but there is one important distinction. There is no conversion label. There's no such thing as a conversion label with Google AdWords remarketing tags. Now, just as a side point, just as a tangent, I firmly believe that in the not too distant future, if not right around the corner, Google is going to be consolidating these two different ways of tracking data into one way. I think that this whole thing with a Google AdWords remarketing tag and your Google Analytics tag, I think they're going to be combined into one global data processing tag. And we're no longer going to have to concern ourselves with different attribution modeling, creating lists in AdWords and creating lists in Analytics, finding discrepancies in the data, managing two different tags. I think it's all going to be one tag, but once again, I can't confirm that. Google hasn't said anything about it. It's just my own personal belief, but I'm pretty confident that's going to happen. So we're going to go ahead first here and copy our conversion ID, just like we did in the previous lecture, and jump back into Google Tag Manager. And if you want, you could just go ahead and click Done, and then jump back into Google Tag Manager. Under our tags, we're going to create a new tag. We're going to name it appropriately, which is a simple, straightforward AdWords remarketing tag. And select the pre-built Google AdWords template. And now, instead of Google AdWords conversion, we're going to click on AdWords remarketing as our tag type. And we're going to configure our tag with a conversion ID. Paste that in there. We're going to leave the conversion label blank. And because this is not dynamic remarketing, once we come back, and we will come back and set up dynamic remarketing, which is those really cool ads that show the specific products and services your website visitors were looking at. That's more advanced. We're going to cover that in a little bit down the road. But for now, Under custom parameters, leave it selected as none. Once we come back and we start setting up dynamic remarketing, we're going to be using the data layer to send custom dynamic variables with our remarketing tag back into AdWords. But for now, just go ahead and click continue. Our firing trigger is going to be all pages because this is a global remarketing tag. We just want to collect information on every single user. Once again, it's going to be inside AdWords itself that we segment out those users and put them into different buckets. So over here, we're just casting a very, very wide net. We want to get data on every single person who's been to the website. And inside Google AdWords and inside Google Analytics is going to be the place where we start segmenting out, refining, and sorting all the different fish we caught in our net, if you will, into the appropriate categories to use in the appropriate remarketing campaigns. And enough of the analogy for now. Let's go ahead and create our tag. We can refresh preview mode. We can go to our website. We should see the remarketing tag has fired. Sure enough, it has right here, AdWords remarketing tag. We have those few tags that have not fired, which is the view our services event. But if I click here, it'll fire. AdWords conversion form submission hasn't fired. Scroll tracking just fired. I can't tell you how much I love this preview and debug dialog window. You probably could tell that already by now, but it's a super cool, helpful tool, and I recommend that you get as used to using this Google Tag Manager preview and debug mode as much as possible, because it really gives you a good sense of your tags, how they're working, their behavioral patterns, what data they collect. Once you get used to using this Google Tag Manager preview and debug mode dialog, it's, you can never go back. But that's just me getting ahead of ourselves. So let's just go back into Google Tag Manager. We could publish this new container. We could leave preview and debug mode, and that's it, done. Very, very fast, very easy. We set up our Google AdWords remarketing tag, and that's it. We never really have to touch that tag again, unless we want to start setting up custom parameters for dynamic remarketing, which we're going to do later on. But for most of us, if you don't have an e-commerce business, even if you do have an e-commerce business, you don't have to run dynamic remarketing campaigns. In fact, I've seen many clients with e-commerce stores where their static remarketing ads perform better than dynamic remarketing ads. Well-designed image ads with nice custom text that looked very professional and polished tend to look more professional and polished than certain dynamic remarketing ads. And sometimes those static, professionally designed image ads work better, they perform better. But be that as it may, if you're not using dynamic remarketing, that's it. You never have to come back and touch this remarketing tag again. It's done, it's set. And we also obviously have the Google Analytics tag, and now we've covered all our bases. We're collecting data from Google AdWords. We're collecting data into Google Analytics via the Google Analytics tag, and we're all set with our remarketing tags and our data collection. This is basically everything we're going to cover inside Google Tag Manager for now. We will come back to Google Tag Manager when it comes to setting up dynamic conversion tracking and dynamic remarketing lists. But for now, we've covered not only the basics of Google Tag Manager, but a lot of some really, really advanced features and functions that are going to enable you to run really successful remarketing campaigns using some of these new techniques that you would not have otherwise been able to take advantage of. So that's something which is really exciting. It's exciting for me. It should definitely be exciting for you. In the next section, we're going to finally jump into Google Analytics and start building our remarketing audiences. That's the stage where we take all the information that we're collecting about all our website visitors, using all these cool custom containers and custom tracking parameters like scroll depth and conversions and goals and events and time on site, everything we know about our visitors, and going back to the basics, back to our initial lectures where we figured out what types of remarketing lists we want for our business, which lists or what visitors were going to be on, included, and excluded from those lists. And now it's time to actually go into analytics and actually go into AdWords and build those audiences, segmenting out, sorting out all the information into those appropriate smaller and smaller and smaller buckets. So we'll be able to run effective remarketing campaigns. And once we have all those lists built, we'll be able to actually go into Google AdWords, build the campaigns, design the ads, set the budget, configure the settings, and actually launch the campaigns. And then we'll be able to analyze the results and optimize the performance. So I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We're really coming down. We've covered a huge amount of ground already. Even by now, you are head and shoulders above 99% of anybody else in the professional field of running these remarketing campaigns. So you should give yourselves a pat on the back for that. It's awesome stuff. And I will see you in a few seconds in the next section inside Google Analytics, where we're going to take everything we've learned and really dial it up a notch. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon.